Hello and a warm welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, where your dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here. Welcome to our issue insight video. Today, the issue that we are taking up is microplastics in Himalaya. So, what we are going to deal with is what are plastics, what is plastic pollution. We'll be mapping the environment also near the Himalayan states. We'll be talking about what are the challenges involved in solving this issue and what is the way forward for this. So, let's go about the lecture and see what we are going to cover basically. So the first thing that we are going to cover is what are plastics and what are microplastics. What is the global burden of their pollution and how this relates to the Himalayan states. We'll also be covering that how the pollution that is caused in the Himalayan state. We'll be discussing the causes and how this pollution which is caused in the Himalayan states here leads to a pollution in the river system as well in the marine life further, and how it affects the biodiversity as well as the ecology. Furthermore, we'll see what are the management attempts and the challenges involved in this. We'll see the legal mandates such as the SWM, the EPR, and so on. And we'll see what is the way forward, empowering what local bodies or how we can solve this issue, the pollution that is going on in Himalayas. All right. So let's start with what are plastics. So plastics is a term basically. All right, there are multiple type of plastic, multiple type of compounds and things. So plastic term is used to designate some synthetic. Synthetic means synthesized from other base materials. So in this case, they are synthesized from the fossil fuels. Fossil fuels such as oil or natural gas. All right, so these are highly processed uh, elements that come from the fossil fuels, which have certain type of properties, which are flexible, resistant, moldable, light, and insulatings. All right. So the plastics are also called polymers. Polymers mean long chain compounds of multiple molecules. Long chain compounds. And they are mainly compounded by oxygen, hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, and sulfur. So these are the elements that are found in the plastics. Recently in 2022, a question came on the plastics. We'll be solving that also, PYQ. Plastics are generally malleable and ductile, and they have a great plasticity which gives them their name, that is plastic. Okay. So this is basically a diagram which shows you that polymers are produced from the processing of the fossil fuels to make them the plastics. All right, and these are multiple families of polymers, such are thermosets. Thermo means the heat, that means they cannot be melted. All right, and thermoplastics, they can be melted. These type of plastic can be melted. And these are semi-crystalline, that means structured plastics that can be melted, such as the polyethylene, PET, nylon, etc. The question came on PET in 2022. We'll be solving that. And amorphous means no structure, such as the polystyrene, polycarbonate, etc. Okay, now let's go further and see the various different type of the plastics that are in use. So first of all is the PET. This is the most important type of plastics that is in use. So that is a polyethylene terephthalate, bottles of water and soft drink. So this is the most common type of the plastic. All right. Others are HDPE, that means high density polyethylene. PVC, this is also found in our pipes. So the applications are written here: water pipes and plastic foil. LDPE, that means low density polyethylene, shopping bags and trash bags. All right, the ones that you see. PP, that means polypropylene, surgical tools, bumpers, lining and clothing. It feels like a rubbery stuff. Okay, PS, that is polystyrene in cassettes and CD cases. It is hard type of plastic. And others like acrylic, polycarbonate, polyacylic fibers, nylon, fiberglass, so on. Okay, so these are various different type of plastics that are found in the modern world, and the applications are also mentioned. So you can refer to this whenever you are reading about plastics. Okay, now let's solve this PYQ. It came in 2022. So we are talking about the polyethylene terephthalate, that is PET. Okay, we can see the PET here, bottles of water and soft drinks. Okay, let's go about this. So the use of which is so widespread in our daily lives, consider the following statements. So its fibers can be blended with wool and cotton fibers to reinforce their properties. So this is correct. Okay, can be, that means it's showing a possibility. And in the modern age of science, everything is possible. Almost everything is possible. Now containers made of it can be used to store any alcoholic beverage. Okay, now it itself is plastic, and alcohol groups are OH groups. They can both react. You may never actually have seen any alcoholic beverage kept in a plastic bottle. They are always sold in glass bottles. Okay, so this is incorrect. Bottles made of it can be recycled into other products, again showing a possibility, again correct. Alright, articles made of it can be easily disposed of by incineration without causing greenhouse gas emission. Now it is possibility, but this possibility is unlikely because it is saying without causing greenhouse gas emission. So this is incorrect. Alright, so only which are correct? 1 and 3 are correct. Okay, so it's a very simple question for us if we know how to solve. Alright, now let's study a bit more about the plastics. So the first plastic that was invented was bakelite. It was developed by the Leo Beekland in Yonkers, New York in 1907. So since then we have been dealing with the plastic revolution as well as plastic pollution. Plastic revolution as well as plastic pollution. So this issue, the plastic pollution issue, is not really, let's say, long in the time span it has taken. It is just short, almost 150 years. Okay, and even lesser if you say. But the pollution that it has caused to our world, to the earth, it is unsurmountable. All right. Bakelite was the first plastic-like material to be introduced in the modern world and was popular because it could be molded and then hardened into any shape. Still, you can see the cooker handles made of bakelite. The cooker handles made of bakelite that do not get warm. Okay, you can see the telephones and older fuse plugs you can see made of bakelite. All right. This is the Leo Bakelite who introduced plastics to the world. Now, let us talk about the pollution. So, an estimated 14 million metric tons. All right, we are talking about tons. That means 1 ton is equal to 1000 kg. We're talking about the metric ton. And 14 million. 1 millions mean 10 lakh. Okay, so we are talking about 10 to the power 6 into 10 to the power 3, 10 to the power 9. So 14 into 10 to the power 9 kg. Tons of, plastic, kilo of plastic enters the ocean annually. Now, what is happening that on our Earth, the plastic pollution is eventually going to the oceans. Okay, because they are the biggest dump yard of the world, and there are large masses of the plastics flowing in the ocean, just like this. You can see this is close to the bank, but in the open sea also these type of plastics are flowing. Okay, with estimates over 170 trillion plastic particles afloat in the world's ocean right now currently. Okay, our ocean should be clean because they are home to the largest species, the marine animals, the biodiversity of the fauna and flora. Now let's talk about the microplastics. What are these microplastics? Okay, so microplastic does not mean here 10 to the minus 6 or microplastic. Okay, it does not mean this. What it means is less than 5 mm. Okay, any plastic less than 5 mm is known as the microplastic. So microplastics are small plastic pieces less than 5 millimeter long, which can be harmful to our ocean and aquatic life because they can be consumed along with the marine food. They can be deposited inside the bodies. Okay, they can travel up and down the food chain. Up and down the food chain. So where do microplastics in our ocean come from? They come from car tires, city dust, okay, road markings, marine coating, personal care products, so on, synthetic textiles. So most of them come from these three sources: synthetic textiles, the car tires, and city dust. You can see here microplastics. They are the most harmful plastic pollution that occurs in the world. All right, let's go further. Now let us see that how these plastics which are caused in the Himalayan region, okay, this is the origin of the plastics and how they eventually reach to the marine ecosystems. So naturally, if we see that plastic is spread here, this thing is polluted, and when it's melted, eventually it's melting. Okay, so it goes into the local mountains. and the mountains that are located on the lower altitude from Himalayas and so on. Okay, eventually it ends up in the rivers, and through the rivers, the pollution amplifies, and finally it either ends up in the Bay of Bengal here or the Arabian Sea. Okay, now Himalayan plastic pollution mostly ends in the Bay of Bengal completely. So let's talk about this. Which river systems do we find in the Himalayan, or which river systems do we find which source, the source of which lie in the Himalaya? So one is this Chamyongdung Glacier. This is the source of our favorite river, that is Brahmaputra River. It's known as the Yarlung Sangpo, where it originates in the China or in the lower Tibetan plateau. Okay, and you can see various different rivers, Devang here, Lohit, Subansiri. Okay, these are in Assam. Then the Kapili. Now it finally goes into the here, Jamuna. Okay, and Meghna. And this is the Ganga river which meets this. All right. So Brahmaputra ends here. This is the Ganga. So this is about the Himalayan river system. And we move further towards the Ganga river system also. So you can see it is originating in the Himalaya here near the Gangotri glacier. All right. So coming from here, if you pollute this area, the Himachal Pradesh, the Uttarakhand area, if you put the plastic pollution here, then it's going to end up amplify first of all with various different tributaries and end up finally in the Bay of Bengal through here. All right. Same is with the Indus River system. If you pollute this area, the Himalayan area, so all of the pollution will be going towards the Arabian Sea, okay, through these rivers. So what we learn is the Indian Himalayan region is a critical source of water in the subcontinent, feeding a number of major rivers of India that include the Indus, the Gangas, Brahmaputra river system, all three. All right. So this is the major point from here, that how important, how bad this issue is. Now let us talk about the causes. So the first cause is, of course, rapid and unplanned urbanization. What is the first cause? Rapid and unplanned urbanization. Now this is a debatable topic, that whether do we need to urbanize these mountains or not, and this is a very separate topic. All right. Second thing is changing production and consumption pattern are responsible for the plastic waste crisis in the Indian Himalayan region. So this is the plastic waste crisis you can see here, and this is the changing consumption pattern. Okay, people from the, let's say, flatlands want to go as a tourist to the mountains and do the same thing there, essentially the same thing here which they were doing here. Okay, these mountains are not made for that, because their production and consumption ecology is very separate. Their production and consumption ecology is very separate. It is not made for importing things from flat to the mountain and then consuming them there and leaving the plastic waste in the mountains and coming back to the flatlands. Okay, what tourists are doing right now. So a quantum jump in the tourist footfall is another reason for exacerbation in the problem. Now recently what happened, the NGT, that is National Green Tribunal, it was established in 2010 as per the NGT Act 2010, and it issued a notice to the MOEFCC that what is happening in the Himachal Pradesh because of all these tourists coming. Okay, because all of this plastic pollution. So this is very harmful to the state. So their notice was released, and now let's come to another state that is very important, the Assam. Okay, so Assam, we see especially the case of the Ramsar site. I hope you all know what Ramsar sites are. Okay, you can read about the Ramsar sites and the agreement in the Ramsar city in Iran. So where this agreement took place. So what it is about. Okay. So and the Montauk Accord also. So greater adjutant stocks. These are the greater adjutant stocks. You can see. Okay, these are the stocks. So these are found in the Ramsar site of the deeper vale. Okay, deeper vale here in the Assam. Near you can see the Guwahati is very close to this. Okay, so elephants also are very famous in this area, the deeper vale area. Okay, but the issue is about the stocks right now. They are eating plastics from the waste instead of fishes or any other thing. So they are feeding literally on the plastic waste in the landfill instead of fish from the wetland. So Ramsar site, this deeper vale wetland we are talking about in the Assam. It's located here. All right. Now let's go to another state, that is Manipur. Okay, so here we see the Manipur, and this is the capital of Manipur, Imphal here. We see the neighboring states such as the Myanmar here. This is Myanmar, different country. Okay, Mizoram here. We see the Assam here and Nagaland on the upper side. And now we are talking about something that is located right in the heart of the Imphal. Let's come to this. Okay, the Nambul River. So this Nambul River is highly polluted by the plastic waste. The Nambul River is a river in Manipur state, you can see here, which flows through the heart of the Imphal city. So it is also much ridden by the plastic waste. And so is Yamuna, you can see in Delhi. So these are various different cases of the water bodies and rivers that are ridden by the plastic waste. Now, can you name this body which is located here in the heart of Manipur? It is the Loktak Lake. All right, so very important water body again. Now let's go down and see the data, cache the data. All right, so the Himalayan Cleanup Project, which was run during 2018 to 21, that was conducted by the Integrated Mountain Initiative with Zero Waste Himalayas and the National Productivity Council of India's Waste and Brand. So the audit shows that 92.7% of the trash was plastic. So whatever trash is in Himalayas, more than 92% of it is plastic, and 72% of the waste being non-recyclable plastic. So all of the trash, 72, more than 72% was non-recyclable plastic. So this is the permanent waste in the mountains. Now let's talk about the challenges involved in solving this issue. So there is something known as the plastic overshoot day. That is when some country, let's say country A, so it's producing plastic waste and it's recycling the plastic waste or managing it. All right. So capacity or capability of the waste management system to manage it. That is capability. All right. So whenever or whatever day the production or the plastic pollution exceeds the capacity, that is known as the plastic overshoot day. All right. So in India, India reached its plastic overshoot day on January 6. That means in the beginning of the year only, in 5 days, it had produced more plastic than it could or we could ever be able to manage. All right, so that is the issue with us. And furthermore, let us see that the government of India claims that it recycles 60% of plastic waste. Okay, we'll see the reality later on. But let us just focus also on that India has one of the highest mismanaged waste index. That means that every country, the plastic problem, we will read it here, every country has its own plastic overshoot day, which is determined the amount of plastic waste generated and the country's capacity to manage it. Beyond this day, all waste generated by the country becomes mismanaged. It's not like it will stop, let's say, being processed. Okay, it is still be managed eventually, but the capacity, the equivalent point will never be reached. All right, the production will always lead the capacity to manage it. So what we see that India has one of the highest MWI, that means mismanaged waste index, at 98.55% in the world. That means more than 98% of the plastic pollution that is produced in India never really is managed. All right, so this is the reality of the plastic pollution in India. And some nearby countries are Indonesia, Brazil, Russia, UAE, and so on. And the best one among them is Canada, which is reaching its plastic potential overshoot at December 22. So only 6 7 days it has where the management does not exceed the pollution cost. All right. Now let's talk about the statistical part of this. So, out of the 100% plastic pollution that is caused, the government of India says that it recycles 60% of the plastics waste. Alright, but this is not true. So, according to this, 60% is recycled and 40% is unaccounted for. But what is reality is that only 12% of the plastic waste is recycled. And this is also only through the mechanical recycling. Only through the mechanical recycling, okay, not chemical or biorecycling. And 88% of the plastic waste is unaccounted for. Now what happens to this 88% plastic waste? 20% of it is converted into multiple things such as the co-incineration. Sometimes it is burnt or incinerated. Sometimes it is changed to plastic to fuel. All right, and sometimes it is used in the road making. But overall, what happens to the 68% of the plastic waste produced out of the 100%? It is unaccounted for. It goes directly to the landfills or in the marine dumping systems eventually. Now let us talk about the mechanical recycling a bit. That what is mechanical recycling? So all of these bio-based plastic products, these are collected, segregated, and then are sorted. Some of them are used in the energy recovery as well as mechanical recycling plant. Finally, what happens to them? That bio-based plastic granules, that means small plastic, microplastic granules are produced, which can be further melted and made into new plastic systems. All right, so they are never put actually out of the system, just reused. Now let's talk about the law. That what are the laws governing these things? All right, in India especially. So there are three laws. That solid waste management rules of 2016. This is a very important topic. Questions can come from here. Second thing is the plastic waste management PWM rules of 2016 especially. And third is the extended producer responsibility, that is EPR. So questions have come from this in the prelims earlier. Okay, now the collective mandate of the SWM, PWM, EPR require waste segregation at the source. That means wherever it is produced at the source, the waste segregation must take place. And segregation of not only plastic from other waste, but also of different type of plastics. Different type of plastics. All right, whether it is a single-use plastic, more thickness plastic, or so on. And it is a prerequisite for any strategy to dispose of the plastic waste in a scientific as well as sustainable manner. Now, the issue is that waste management exists on paper, but on a closer look shows landfill overflowing with the mixed waste. Okay, this plastic is not segregated properly. So this is the major issue here. Second thing what we see here, that special need of hill areas are not factored by the SWM. While creating a mandate for both local bodies and producers, importers and brand owners, that are PIBO. So while PWM and EPR have not even recognized the special need for the hill areas, that is Himalaya areas. Okay, second thing what we see with the mixed waste is that the leachate from the mixed waste caused soil and water pollution. Alright, while fume from such mixed waste caused air pollution. So this let us see here, I have put it here. So what happens that on ground issues, segregation is not taking place first of all. Second thing is that mixed waste reached the landfills and it makes two things. One is the fumes and second is the leachate. So this goes in the water, it causes the water pollution and this causes the air pollution. Alright, so this is the on ground issue. Now let's talk about what various different states have done about this issue. So Himachal Pradesh, so special state laws banning plastic use, buyback policy for non-recyclable and single-use plastic since 2019. Alright, in Sikkim, what is happening? Special laws banning packaged mineral water use. So this is very important. They completely banned the packaged mineral water. Alright, in Mizoram, what happened? Proactive regulatory approach with Aswal Municipal Corporation making bylaws under the plastic waste management rules in 2019. And in Tripura also policy changes happened. Now what we see the issues are there, that widespread littering plastic waste despite regulations. So tourist problem here in the Himachal. Okay, infrastructure problem, local bodies problem. Second thing is lack of proper infrastructure to handle plastic waste. So this is a major problem here, especially in the Sikkim, and limited visibility of results or outcome are not measured properly in those Mizoram and Tripura states. All right, and now let's talk about whose responsibility is it to manage this plastic waste and all. So under the solid waste management rules SWM, the plastic waste management rules PWM, and the EPR, extended producer responsibility, that is EPR. Okay, the task of waste management from the collection to its scientific disposal, to its last disposal, is the duty of who? Local bodies. Municipal corporation, municipal council, Nagar Panchayat, and so on, whatever local bodies are there. And they can take help from the PIBOs. PIBOs. So, who are these PIBOs? We saw the upper producer importer and the brand owners. Okay, so they can take help from the PIBOs for the setting up and operationalization of the plastic waste management systems as mandated under the EPR. Okay, so this EPR is main here. So this is the responsibility of the local bodies. Now, what is the issues with this? Okay, so only very few states have enacted model bylaws, and very few local bodies themselves had made bylaws to operationalize the mandate. Okay, second thing is no clarity regarding the mandate to ensure collaboration between the local bodies and PIBOs. There is no clarity. Third is there is a need to include traditional institutions also within the definition of local bodies when it comes to Indian Himalayan region. Fourth thing is it is important to note that under Swachh Bharat Mission and the 15th Finance Commission, money was allocated to these traditional institutions which have not been included in the plastic waste management in the hill areas especially. So these are tribal areas. There are multiple traditional institutions in these areas, the hill areas, but they are not included correctly into uh, the local bodies. Okay, this is the issue of the British leftover, we can say. So you can read about this more in the anthropology optional. Now let's talk about what is the way forward for this finally. Okay, so appropriate resource allocation to the local bodies, support to the local bodies, and scientific geographic challenges of mountain waste management. So in this view, okay, these local bodies should be strengthened like this. And in what view? In considering the special and rich biodiversity, the ecological sensitivity of Himalaya, and the fragility of Himalayan ecosystem. Okay, so besides taking into account the specific geographical challenge of mountain waste management, empowering local bodies and creating the necessary infrastructure for waste management need immediate attention. And second thing is segregation of waste. Second thing is participation of the people. That means people participation. People participation. And third thing is sustainable or sustained public education campaigns. That public should be made educated about what is happening in their area and how it is supposed to be solved. Okay, and fourth thing is the data should be plugged. That means whatever data is being collected about the plastic pollution and so on, so this data should be collected and be correct. Okay, so data gaps in terms of the quantum and quality of plastic waste generated in the region should be plugged. Fourth thing is that this EPR certificate, which is issued to various PIBOs. Alright, this should value more if they are doing the thing in the Himalayan region or the mountain region rather than the flat areas. Okay, where plastic waste management is little bit easier. So this should value more for them in the Himalayan region. This can be stepped by the government. Now, furthermore, what can we see? That convergence in the existing schemes such as the Swachh Bharat Mission, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural or NREGA basically, and the Finance Commission grants that is given to the traditional institutions in the Himalayan region could be used to create the infrastructure, maintain and run operations. The Swachh Bharat Kosh Trust, okay, set up to facilitate the channelization of philanthropic contributions and CSR, that is corporate social responsibility, towards this cause, towards the plastic pollution in the Himalayan cause, could be used to augment resources. Augment means to support something. Second thing is the Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, that is AMRAT, and Smart Cities scheme could also work on the issue of scientific waste management and making cities in Indian Himalayan region free of plastic. So all of these things can be written in the way forward. So we have discussed the issue. Thank you very much. If you have any feedback, you can leave for me in the comment section. This PDF I'll be posting in the Telegram channel, that is the Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, and we'll be seeing us next on the Monday. I'll be releasing a Places in News Part 2 for the Arctic, Eurasia, and the Red Sea mapping also. Furthermore, we'll release a weekly news on Monday. So thank you for that, and be present here. Study well. Have a great day.